Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too. Today, I'm continuing my Dharma tributaries to the teachers in the late 60s and early 70s that were influential on helping to mold my hippie mind. And of course, a lot of these teachers were my psychedelic influences. Yes, I'm not like Bill Clinton. I did smoke it, but I also dropped it and did in the Summer of Love LSD, and certainly my experiences with psilocybin mushrooms and peyote and DMT, which is what ayahuasca is, um, made me a happy tripper. I dropped out, and we'll talk about that today when I'm talking about Timothy Leary. I certainly chose the path of holy, HOLY, holy volunteer alienation. I didn't want to be a part of the corrupt society that my education helped me see through. I didn't want to march along, and I didn't want to go to Vietnam, which I felt was a incorrect use of our military force and foreign policy. So that's what was going on. And I liked the appeal that was being made to us that there's an abiding peace, that you can sit up close to this with a group of friends like the Upanishads, and you can learn to bring order out of confusion because this is going to give you a flash of illumination. And Timothy Leary, besides Ram Dass, who I talked about yesterday, was a leader in the field, and he coined a couple of really interesting phrases which have become the byword for the hippies at that time. And that was turn on, tune in, and drop out. And the idea of turning on was to go inside yourself and recognize that your own neural circuitry, the equipment in your own skull, has the potential of giving you the enlightening insight. And basically, what it does is it exchanges background and foreground. See, normally, let's say you see me, I'm in the foreground, and the masks and everything else is in the background. But the background is really the space that contains everything and connects us all. It's the glue that you can't see that keeps us together. And sometimes what the drugs do is it shifts the ability to see the background, which comes into the foreground, and now you get it. So, 11th commandment is thou shalt not tell the neighbor what they should or shouldn't do to alter their consciousness, because we all need to see with a little deeper perspective. And so different drugs trigger different aspects of your own nervous system. And you accomplish this, and you can say, through better living through chemistry. Mayor Baba said, what else could come to America to help it have a spiritual revolution except a material chemical like LSD? Then tune in means interact harmoniously with your world. Learn to both put out there, externalize, or materialize, or express the new insights that you have. Bring it, like we say, take the fruit of your practice off the mat into the world. And you learn what you love to do, what I call ego syntonic, the stuff that really turns you on. Pleasure is the tie that binds. Remember, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What was that all about? Learning to feel good, not to be ashamed about having a good time in life, celebrating life. And then the most important thing is drop out. Don't be involved in unloving roles. You really want to be a sage? Don't support, to the extent that you can, the man. Detach yourself from the things that before you did unconsciously, involuntarily, and learn how to be more self-reliant. Don't look for the Buddha outside yourself. Those qualities are within your own nervous system. So it's like a journey of discovery, how to be mobile and fluid, and then always how to serve. So here's some other tips that I've learned from Timothy Leary. It's really important to remember that when you take the automatic love revelation pill, it's a divine inebriant. That's why they call it the flesh of the gods. And I'm not here saying that I suggest that anybody take it, because remember, the psychedelic understanding is still the same now as it was 50 years ago. And that is set and setting. Have your intention clear about what you're doing. You're not just a naughty boy or girl getting high for kicks behind mommy and daddy's backs. You're on the spiritual search. You're looking for the grail. You're questing for the revelation. There's no doubt about it. So that's your mindset going to study, understand what the potency of the chemical that you're taking is. And then setting. Be in a cool place, a calm place, a peaceful place with people who you trust. Really important. Even when you study this, the texts, not just about spirituality, but specifically about these medicine plants, you could say, they're precise, they're unanimous, and even if there's been distortion through the academic tradition, corruption that tries to cover the truth, it's pretty clear that they all say something very, very similar. One glimpse is enough to change your life forever and make you feel like it's meaningful and worthwhile. And because spirit doesn't speak in words or in English, the experience itself is the direct transmission. Once you understand that only within yourself exists this other world that you long for, then you realize the world is not going to change, but your perception of the world is going to become drastically altered. And then you bear witness that all may believe. So you got to give up your power to swim with the whole thing, one swinging energy system, hook up to it. Don't let anybody discredit you, shame you. Don't let psychiatric language with its negative or pejorative take make you feel like there's something wrong with you. Because who doesn't want to deal with the lexicon of troubles and symptoms and abnormalities and pathologies? Everybody. But they make you feel like your eccentricity is like a dirty word, when your own uniqueness is so important. To flaunt the thing that makes you different than everybody else, those special characteristics that make you you, and help you adjust to whatever your portion in life is. So this is how you end up living in what I call spiritual Disneyland, and not like a spiritual plague area. So you got to deliberately flip out. Deliberately flip out. And don't let the drama of life distract you from the real important thing of life, which is experiencing spirit. Because it's empirical. You have to find out for yourself. You have to test it for yourself. And then you'll be a visionary. And then when you're a visionary, you become, in the Taoist sense, a person of receptive devotion. You're willing to allow life to come into you in all its beauty, all its glory. And of course, in the end, for me, you become a loving person, as well as the funniest and wisest part of yourself becomes available for everybody else. Now remember, although it would seem that by honoring these psychedelic ancestors of ourselves, we're actually giving license to it. But I just want to remind you of a funny story from Ram Dass, which is that when he went to see his guru, somehow his guru knew that he had LSD, but he called it medicine. So he said, "You have medicine?" And first Ram Dass didn't know what he was talking about. And then he realized, oh, he wanted to say, "Oh, can I have some?" So he gave his guru a couple of potent LSD tabs. And the guru took it in, put the towel over his face. And then when he came out, he had that crazy look on his face. And Ram Dass says, "Oh my God, I freaked out the guru." Put the guru on a bad trip. But then the guru was laughing because it didn't really affect him. And then Ram Dass had doubts. When you rationalize and question instead of go with it, it produces doubt. So he thought to himself, he's such a trickster. Maybe he somehow fooled me with sleight of hand and he didn't really take it. But the guru had some kind of psychic power. So the next day he called Ram Dass back and he said, "I want more medicine." And so he gave him medicine. This time he opened his mouth right in front of Ram Dass and watched him take it like that. And then he just stood there. And hours later, nothing happened. Nothing happened. So even though some of us are too dull to understand this directly and have a major revelation, and we need a chemical to kick it off, catalyst, at another level of consciousness, drugs don't do anything. Consciousness is what it is without any chemical need to amp it up or kick it to another level. It's a pretty powerful understanding of the Guru principle, even though he said that these things were known about in the Kulu Valley thousands of years ago. And in chapter 4, first verse in Yoga Sutras, they talk about herbs as a way of people developing the samadhi states. So it's not like it's not known. The soma plant was used in the Vedas. And I'm not saying it isn't legitimate, but there's also purification that has to be done post tripping. And so I want to say for all my friends who are out there who might remember the old days, we were very, very fortunate before the LSD started getting cut with speed, amphetamines, or whatever else they were putting into it, that we were fortunate enough to be in one of the first families that was making the orange sunshine. So just for everybody who likes to hear the old words, remember Strawberry Fields, remember Green Goblin, remember Purple Haze. Yeah, we did them all. Blotter acid, it was wonderful. I'm glad that I got out only with partial part of my mind being completely wrecked for the rest of my life. Which, as you can see, it's pretty visible to see what happened to me, right? But hopefully you won't hold that against me, because behind it all, the intention always was to be peaceful and loving. Enjoy your day.